Okay, here we are again. It's tarot lesson number 60. I have my outline here. So I'd like to begin with a comment that was left by someone called San Raul. And he asked a question, and I'm going to look at the two of the points that he made. So he wanted to know how do negative... He was looking at a reversed card as in some way being a negative card. And he wanted to know, how do negative cards get into the deck? And then he wanted to know, should you rearrange the cards after a reading? And so if you get a new deck, all the cards are the right way. And so how do you get... So partly you shuffle, but I was thinking, and I try not to repeat myself, but I was thinking, let's say this is a new deck. So what are you going to do? And you do this, for instance, you take the deck and you deal it out, and then you end up with cards. When you then gather the cards up, some are going to be upright, some are going to be reversed. And maybe that, San Raul, is how you get negative, what you call or what you refer to as negative cards into the deck. And so it occurred to me when I was thinking about how to answer him, life is messy, right? I mean, not Leo Messi, who plays for Paris Saint-Germain, but life is messy. It doesn't mean that life is a total mess everywhere, every minute. But generally speaking, life is a messy business, because we've got people we talk to and things go wrong, or we try something that doesn't work out, doesn't work out the way we want. So life in its own way is messy, and it's kind of a process of figuring out the best way to deal with a difficult situation. But the thing is, life works. And so I think what you do is, with a deck of cards, you shuffle, or when it's a new deck, you spread them all out and gather them up. So now some cards are upright and some are reversed. And it's all random. And you shuffle a bit more and introduce a bit more randomness into the situation. And that's it. Do you resort at the end of a reading? No, because life is messy. And what you do is you trust that you finish the reading, you do a quick shuffle at the end, just to kind of stop, and then you gather the cards up again, so that the next time when you open them, you're picking up where you left off, and you keep your fingers crossed, or you trust that the starting point of the deck like this is going to be correctly rearranged as you shuffle. Correctly rearranged so that you will be able to give the correct answer to the question that is about to be asked. So think of it as life is messy, but it works. So we don't need to try to make things work. We don't need to try to impose order on a deck of cards. It's really, in a lot of ways, it's the randomness that's important, because the randomness makes you think different kinds of thoughts. So let me get to that. What have I got here? San Raul also talked about negative cards, and I want to remind you, as it says in Shakespeare, in Hamlet, there's nothing good and nothing bad, but thinking makes it so. So things seem to be good or seem to be bad, but they only seem to be good or bad. And it's how we think about the situation that makes it good or bad. So as an example, you can, I was maybe going to have out the Three of Swords or a card of sorrow. I can't find it. But my example was going to be bursting into tears. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? So if you ask somebody to marry you and they say no, you burst into tears. That's probably a bad thing, but maybe it's a good thing, because if you had asked the person to marry you and they said yes, but they didn't really mean it, now you're stuck in a problem marriage. So, yeah, I understand that you're disappointed or upset that the person didn't say yes, but on the other hand, is it really a bad thing? And on the other hand, or by contrast, you get, if you've been in a situation that you haven't really been facing up to for a while, and then something happens and you suddenly just break down and you burst into tears, that can be cleansing and cathartic, where you are refreshed by crying. So you can't just look at the Two of Cups upside down and think, okay, tears and sorrow and a love going wrong, and think this is a bad thing. Maybe it is a bad thing, but can you, as the reader, look at that situation and say this is good or this is bad? And I don't think so. Or we're asking for trouble, I think, if we assume that this is either good or bad. What have I? Okay, that's the I've got these cards here. You might have been wondering what they were, and it had to do with, let's say we've got a new deck and we shuffle them, or we lay them out and gather them up. So now some are reversed and some are upright. And I was thinking, what we've got is 78 cards. And how do we look at 78? We can look at the deck as it is, as it's been shuffled. It's 7 and 8. I'm using Justice as 8, not 11, because really Justice is the number 8, because Saturn is the number 8. And this is more Saturnian than the Strength card. So maybe this is what we're dealing with the tarot, 78 cards. And you can think about, is this what we do with the tarot, that this is us? And we've got good and bad, or we've got positive and negative, and we in some way navigate between them, or we're in life to learn how to take the good and the bad and manipulate them or control them and get them to move us in the direction in which we choose to move. And it's interesting because we've got the two sphinxes here and the person between them, and the 8 card, the Justice card, we've got 2 pillars instead of 2 sphinxes, but we've got a person between the pillars. So 7 and 8 is 15, and there happens to be a 15th major trump, and it's the Devil card. So that's something you can play with and think, okay, the Chariot plus Justice equals in some way the Devil. And here we've got a couple of sphinxes. Here we've got a man and a woman. And here we've got the charioteer, who's maybe our inner beautiful self. Whereas here we've got life in the world, and we've got the devil controlling things. And then 1 and 5 is 6. And here we've got the 6th major trump is the Lovers. So is it some kind of, we've got the ideal, the untouchable, beautiful ideal of the 78 cards of the Chariot and the Justice card, but it's an idea, right? It's a mental picture, and it's not, in a sense, it's not real. It's not down to earth. So what we do is first we come down to earth with the Devil card, then in some way we go back to heaven, or maybe we come back in a circle back to this point. So the tarot is about dealing with problems represented by the devil, or something you don't like, or something that binds you or holds you back or holds you down or defeats you or makes you feel small or makes you feel powerless, that kind of thing. And the tarot can show you how to be like Adam and Eve, how to listen to angels, or how to listen to higher wisdom or higher knowledge, rather than be sucked down by negativity or by selfishness and one of the 7 deadly sins. 7 deadly sins. The Chariot's number 7. What's the connection there? So, before I got San Raul's email, I was thinking I was going to do this and think about questions. So this is a horoscope, kind of. And let's say you've got 21 Capricorn on the 11th house cusp. That's the 11th house. And that's Capricorn on the cusp. So people involved with astrology say things like, what does Capricorn on the 11th house mean? And that sounds like a question, but it's not really a question. Because the point about astrology is a chart doesn't tell you anything until you ask it a question. And what does Capricorn on the 11th house mean is not actually a question. If somebody says, are my friends trustworthy? That's a question. You think, are your friends trustworthy? Friends are ruled by the 11th house. So we go up to here, we look at any planets in the 11th house, and we look to the sun on the cusp. And here we've got, for instance, in a chart, 21 Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and this person has Saturn in Virgo in the 6th house. So Saturn in Virgo will give you some part of the answer to whether the friends are trustworthy or not. And this 21 Capricorn happens to be the Virgo decanae of Capricorn ruled by Mercury. And this person has Mercury here in Gemini in the 2nd house. So the friends are a mixture of Virgo and Gemini. And so you look at the signs and the planets involved to get an idea of whether the people represented by this cusp are trustworthy or not. So with that in mind, maybe what you do if you're going to practice is you come up with a question like, are my friends trustworthy? And so you pick a card and you get, are your friends trustworthy? The Temperance card, yes, they are. Why? Because they're going to be like angels. They're going to show you how to live in different environments, in different situations or different conditions, because he's standing he's got 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the land. So we're dealing with somebody who is able to live in or deal with 2 maybe contradictory situations. And because the Temperance card can represent alchemy, which is transformation in its own way, then your friends are going to be, they're going to teach you how to transform yourself or how to handle situations in order for you to be transformed. So are my friends trustworthy? And we get the world reverse, no they're not. No, it's upside down, so no. They're not. Why not? Because they're over-ambitious. They think the world, but they've only got a tiny part of it. Or they imagine huge possibilities where really only 1 or 2 small ones exist. So your friends aren't trustworthy because they'll encourage you to bite off more than you can chew, or to make you think that you can do a lot without much effort, or that you've got the skills and your luck will hold, but it won't. So you can do more with this, but let's just do one last one. Are my friends trustworthy? And we get the 7 of Swords reverse, no. So, and I suppose because this card has come up before and we've spoken about theft and dishonesty and making off with things that don't belong to them. Given the fact that it's 7 of Swords comes up and we're talking about friends or apparent friends, I think we have to say no, they're not. Watch out, because they're going to make off with things that don't belong to them, whether it's your possessions or your property or your people or your ideas or your thoughts. Be careful about the kinds of people that you mix with at the moment, because they're not that reliable. And you can go into it in more detail. Maybe you want a bit more why they're not reliable. The Tower, because they've had upsets in their own life and they didn't handle it well, and they thought, or they figured that the way to deal with a situation or to deal with an upset is to impose it on other people, because people do that all the time. You take it out on the innocent bystander, and parents do it with children all the time. The parents are dissatisfied, so instead of recognizing that they need to change, they are cruel or nasty to their children, and it's not a good thing, but it happens to everybody now and again. Okay, so that was lesson 60. Hope you enjoyed that. Today is so for San Raul, at the end of a spread, at the end of working with cards, quick shuffle to resort, and then you gather the cards up again and you put them away until the next time, trusting that, or knowing that the next time you open them, you're going to be in the right place, because life works and the tarot works. You're going to be in the right place to pick up where you left off. It's not a problem. Okay, today's Friday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, back on Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.